Welcome to Short View Trading. My name is Chris Watling. I'm the CEO and founder of the Daily Rag Trader. This is your morning market hit for Monday, the 11th of March. It's around 9 a.m. London time. So what matters for markets if you want to trade equity index futures on a 1 to 2 week basis, either long or short, S&P500 or other equity index futures? That's what we want to dig into in this video. The factors you need to think about, what you need to watch, how you need to go about making those 1 to 2 week trading calls. The first thing you need to think about when you're thinking about the stock market and where it's likely to go over the next week or two is what's the context? How's the market trading? How does it feel? What's it up to? What's the drivers and the challenges in the stock market? Because certainly if you look at it at the back end of last week, particularly Friday, you might begin to wonder, is the stock market falling apart? And indeed, if you look at the price action in Nvidia, you could well conclude that. Nvidia on Friday had what's known as a key day reversal, a bearish key day reversal, whereby its share price opened higher on Friday above the prior day's high and then closed below the prior day's low. So it reversed sharply throughout the session. It was off 5.5% on Friday and posted what's called a key day reversal. Technically, that's pretty important. Market technicians like to see those. They tend to signal buyer exhaustion and a reversal of trend, and therefore some ongoing weakness in the share price over the next week or two. Now, of course, Nvidia has been the key leadership stock this year. Just look at the numbers in the NASDAQ 100. The market cap of the NASDAQ 100 year to date as of Friday's close is up about $1.6 trillion in aggregate for the whole index. Nvidia itself is 1 trillion of that. So 2/3 of the whole growth of the market cap in the NASDAQ 100 is down to one single stock, even though it sold off by 5.5% on Friday. So it's a key leadership stock, and where it goes matters for the direction of the market a lot of the time. But it's not just Nvidia. You can also look at something like Apple. Apple was the leadership stock for most of last year, but actually in the last 6 months it's gone nowhere. In fact, quite the reverse. It's deteriorated quite sharply, breaking below its 200-day moving average and moving decisively below that at the back end of February. So Apple's share price, its price action looks troubling. Nvidia looks troubling, and also we've had iron ore in a completely different part of the market. Iron ore in the last few trading sessions off sharply, as you can see from this chart in front of you now. And of course that's interesting because it's indicative of how the market feels about the Chinese economy and the chances of stimulus coming out of China, and whether or not you're going to get that big bazooka of stimulus which is needed for the global economy. And sticking with this theme of price action on Friday, Nvidia's key day reversal drove key day reversals in many parts of the stock market. Just look at the Philly Sox we're putting up in front of you now. Of course, Nvidia is the biggest stock in the Philly Sox by a long way. So the Philly Sox itself posted a key day reversal. And often the Philly Sox is a good indicator of where risk appetite's going in this global stock market. So that's certainly troubling as well. And then of course the NASDAQ 100, also a key day reversal, and even the S&P 500. So the question is, how bad is the price action? Is it time to panic if you're long, or is it time to start putting on shorts given the price action we saw in markets at the back end of last week? Because clearly, if you look at Nvidia itself as a stock and you look at its overextended nature, which I'm showing you in this chart we're putting up in front of you now, you can see that it's deeply overextended, hugely overextended to the upside. No surprises in a way there. But if you look at the last few times it's been at such an overextended state, you'll see from the chart that the stock price goes nowhere or gives back quite a lot of its gains. So we're probably at one of those points in time for Nvidia. There's been a lot of speculation in the stock, and that of course makes you nervous. But there are other factors at work, and it's important to take the picture in the round, not just focus on one single stock, even though it's Nvidia and it's incredibly important. Because if you look at the S&P 500, it's holding on quite nicely to key support levels. That 5,066 level it broke through a couple of weeks ago still stands. And yes, it's weaker over the past 24 hours overnight in Asia and also on Friday, but it's still holding on to quite key levels. It's not off that much from its highs. And added to that, if you look at a very sort of straightforward indicator of trend, just a 10-day moving average, for example, look at this chart we're putting up in front of you now. You can see the trend is still very much to the upside on that 10-day moving average indicator, as well as, of course, the 50-day moving average and so on. So it's a mixed picture and a close call. And if you want to see how we're trading it, then please take a free trial to the Daily Rag Trader. We'll send it to you for free for a bunch of trading sessions. All you need to do is put in your name and email address, no credit card details required, no obligation, free trial. And then if you like it, obviously subscribe after that free trial period comes to an end. Or if you're a subscriber, of course, it'll be in your inbox by 9 a.m. every morning, London time, ahead of the US trading session. So what are we watching today and this week? Well, there's three key themes. Firstly, there's a lot of US data that's important. There's an inflation flavour with CPI on Tuesday and then PPI later this week on Thursday. And there's also some key interesting economic data points out of the States: retail sales, NFIB small business survey, and Michigan sentiment on Friday. Secondly, we're focused on China, where you'll see total social financing numbers coming out this week. That's the monthly lending data. It's purported to be due out on Tuesday, but you never quite know. It'll come out over the course of this week at some stage. That's a big insight to the amount of stimulus China's putting into its economy, so bears watching closely. And then thirdly is price action, particularly of something like Nvidia, as discussed. How its price action plays out this week is critical and will be watched closely. We'll also be watching the yen, because next week the Bank of Japan's got a meeting. The rumours are building that they're going to move off their interest rate policy. They're going to start shifting rates higher, with the implications that that'll have for the yen strengthening, and of course the implications for bringing back money from overseas back into Japan, repatriating capital that's been overseas for a long period of time. So that's key. The yen started to move. Keep an eye on that, and keep an eye on Nvidia and other price action as well. So that's it from us. That's your morning market here for Monday, March the 11th. Thank you for listening. Please do subscribe to these videos on YouTube. Simply click on the subscribe button, like and share on social media, or follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and or Facebook. Thank you for listening. Stay safe. Trade well.